So can they eat permits?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then I had to drive to the airport in the morning, Wednesday, and so it was like, too much. Too much. And then you have to contend with Leo. Somewhat, but I still drive him around a little. Yeah. Depends how much day, you know.
Yeah.
He went today by himself.
Yep.
Okay.
And it must be.
So with most apartments. Oh, I'm hoping.
We have long here.
Wonderful.
Sure. Sorry for the person. Yeah, I'm very frustrated.
First
Next level.
We're not much, so I'll cut out what we were talking. Well, you know what? We didn't reveal anything in this.
My wife. Like I said, he might not get to it till next year.
If you want them signs back, I got it.
Oh, yeah, tonight.
Well, I got it in my garage.
Oh.
Where is the oh. I'm just congratulated. Too many things that don't work.
Unfortunately, once I start filming, I can't.
Yeah.
But I will do it later.
Yeah. Let's call this meeting in order. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
approval of the agenda.
Also move to approve the agenda August 10th, 2026, as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Approval of consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular township board meeting minutes dated July 13th, 2026. To accept the treasurer's report as presented. To accept the assessor's report for August 2026. To approve the July 2026 bills, transfer of funds. The bill listing for general fund, check 31383 through 31430, building check 2663, electronic fund transfers, payrolls for township police and fire departments for July 2026 equals $157,003.48.
Support.
All in favor? Any nays? Motion carried. County reports, Greg Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, board members. We had a full board meeting on July 23rd of 2026. And among other things, we approved the annual remonumentation grant from the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs in the amount of $58,815. That's done through the county surveyor's office. They contract with private surveyors to do a handful of the quarter posts out throughout the county. They do some every year. Obviously, it takes a long time. Most of these posts were set over 100 years ago, but they need to find them and remind them. We also created a new position, the Deputy County Administrator position, and eliminated the position of Administrative Projects Manager. We've never had a Deputy County Administrator before. In the past, when we've had a County Administrator leave, and you have a long period of time before you get a new one, we've had to use the Chief Financial Officer, which, I mean, she's got her own job to do, so it's never worked very well. So we think this is really going to help continuity of county government. We also appointed Traci Chouinard of Metamora Township to a vacancy on the jury board. Jury board's consisted of 3 people. Also at that meeting, we spent a lot of time talking about the senior millage. There have been a number of misleading statements made on social media about it, and that was addressed. Very pleased that the millage passed. As I said at the last meeting, one of the most important things about the senior millage is it helps keep seniors in their own homes, whether it's the Meals on Wheels or providing medical care, or the few that were able to mow their lawns and plow their driveways. Also, I'd like to very pleasantly see that the Metamora Township Police Village passed, which is supposed to show that the voters, the residents of Metamora Township appreciate that we have a 24/7 police department that did excellent service to the people of Metamora. And finally, I would like to at least make mention of the death of longtime Attica supervisor Al Chadlius. Al not only was a longtime supervisor, he served on the Warner County EMS Board, Construction Code Authority, Senior Services Advisory Board, and he was a great guy. We're going to miss him. And may God's perpetual light shine upon him. May his soul and all the souls of the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. Amen. Thank you.
Thanks. Public time.
Hi, I'm Leslie Getz. I live in Mayfield Township, and I'm running for state representative position. I'm a retired special education teacher, not a career politician. I believe very strongly in citizen participation and involvement at every level of government, attending meetings, volunteering for committees and commissions, and generally staying informed, and even running for office if you're in a position to do so and have the skills that would be needed. I listen to people, I research issues, and try to come up with solutions that will work for everyone. I ask for your support on November 3rd. I will stick around after the meeting if anyone would like to speak to me further. And remember, Leslie gets things done.
Good evening. My name is Steve
now 40 years plus, and I am running for the position of Lapeer County District Court Judge. That is a nonpartisan position, not affiliated with any party. Right now, that position is being held by Judge Barnard, who is age limited out, and so it's going to be an open seat on the bench. I'd rather talk to you about the tigers, the lions, my grandkids, my garden, anything but myself, about myself. I'm used to, as an attorney, talking about other people and other people's problems. But to come here and talk about myself, it's part of the things that you have to do if you're running for office. I would just indicate that the position that I'm running for, District Court Judge, deals with a variety of matters. Chief among them is criminal matters. All criminal matters start in the district court. Those matters that are felonies will then be transferred over to the circuit court. Misdemeanor cases will remain in the district court. District court also traditionally takes care of landlord-tenant matters, civil matters, and also a lot of your ordinance enforcement takes place or starts in the district court as well. And I would indicate that I have vast experience in all of those areas. I've been in private practice for 4 years. So that means not only do I practice law, I run a business. I operate a business. My office is located in the Secretary of State building. Myself and some partners own that building. That's where my practice is located at this point in time. Again, I've been in private practice 40 years. I did run as a write-in 10 years ago for circuit court judge against a longtime incumbent. And
I think I didn't reset it.
oh, okay. And even under the tight time constraints, I did garner approximately 22% of the vote. So I think that was a daunting task that I did accomplish that. I married into Lapeer 40 years ago, married a North Branch girl, Sam and Donna Heron's daughter, Julie. I have 2 daughters, I have 9 grandchildren, and live in North Branch. I'm very tied to the community of Lapeer County. I coach a variety of sports, for anything from little bumblebee soccer up to varsity sports, both in North Branch and in Lapeer City. Tied in with North Branch Wesleyan Church, where I'm the vice chair, very involved in that ministry. My court, what it will look like, I operate from a biblical Christian worldview. That means that I treat people with respect and believe that people should be treated with respect and dignity on a basic level, and that's something we will accomplish through the district court. Thank you.
I understand that this board does not respond during public comment, so tonight I'm not standing here expecting an argument or an answer. I'm putting facts into the public record. For months, residents have asked questions about the development occurring over on Brower. We have contacted the township, the county, soil erosion, Eagle, and the fire department and others. Somehow, despite all of the activity we have witnessed since March, we continue to hear the same statement. Nothing has been approved. Well, tonight I'd like to talk about what Metamora Township own ordinance says was supposed to happen. This is not about special land use. This is about Metamora Township subdivision regulations and ordinance. Your ordinance could not be much clearer. It specifically defines the word shall as mandatory. Section 300 then states that the township subdivision review procedure shall be followed for submitted plots. Your own subdivision review chart says that when a tentative preliminary plot is built, it is placed on the agenda of the next planning commission meeting. And it provides for a planning commission recommendation within 60 days of filing. This puts a date to what has actually happened here into perspective. The development drawings that I personally viewed inside this township hall are dated from March 19th, 2026. These aren't drawings someone described to me. I personally saw them. They were sitting on the table in the township hall, and a township personnel specifically told me I can look at them. Yet since March, every planning commission meeting has been canceled. Meanwhile, the physical activity on this property wasn't canceled. The trees didn't wait, the excavators didn't wait, the clearing didn't wait, the burning didn't wait, and apparently only the public process was avoided. And that is a serious problem because the planning commission review required by your ordinance is not an optional formality. It exists when these issues are reviewed before irreversible changes are made to the property. Your own ordinance shows us exactly why. Section 301 requires the preliminary plot information to address the drainage patterns, the vegetation, including inventory of vegetation on the site by type and location. Let's think about this for a moment. Drainage. We have neighboring residents who are now having water and septic concerns. The physical characteristics of this property have already been substantially altered. Vegetation. A massive amount of vegetation and trees have already been removed. Section 404 is even more specific. Your ordinance says due regard must be shown for natural features, including large trees and natural growth. It says existing trees shall be preserved wherever possible. And most importantly, removal must be justified to the planning commission. So I'm putting this question into the public record. What planning commission meeting was the removal of trees justified? Because every planning commission meeting since March has been canceled. Section 305 also says subdivision review is supposed to consider township, county, and state regulations and ordinances. Sewer and water adequacy. Can I continue? Thank you. Sewer and water adequacy, natural resource protection, and the health, safety, and welfare concerns of Metamora Township. Those aren't meaningless words. Those are preventative protections, and that's what makes what has happened here so disturbing. You don't review drainage after neighboring properties begin experiencing problems. You don't inventory vegetation after the vegetation has been removed. You don't decide whether tree removal is justified after the trees are gone. You don't evaluate potential impacts on surrounding properties after those residents report damage, and you certainly don't tell those residents afterward that nothing has been approved. This isn't prevention, that's damage control. And while this mandatory review process apparently went nowhere, residents have been left dealing with the consequences. The property was cleared, massive piles of trees and debris accumulated, those piles were burned, smoke, soot, and ash traveling onto neighboring properties, vehicles, homes, everything being affected, including animals, and we're left calling agency after agency trying to figure out who is actually going to protect us. This is precisely I appreciate the extra minute, but if we had the actual meetings as we should have, we have more time to bring this to the table, be able to actually talk to it like we are allowed.
Karen Pacheco, I live in the village, so I still have gotten no explanation about the $4,400 spent by this township every single month to Midwest Strategy Group for lobbying about the gravel. Still nothing back, plus expenses, by the way. So still nothing back about what's actually happening. What are we gaining for all that money? That's a lot of money. So Tom Wise is on the deputy supervisor who you appointed with no discussion not long ago. Is now we're going to discuss how much he's going to make and what his job classification. Still haven't heard his qualifications for being here. Because when I hear Tom Wise, I go back a couple generations, right? Because he's the grandson of a Best who ran this township for like decades. And during his reign of this township, that's when we got the unregulated dump became a Superfund site. That's when, tens of thousands of barrels of waste went down. And yeah, I mean, that's a couple generations ago, but I haven't heard, again, his qualifications. What are his views on regulations? But what I did hear was at the second to last MTA meeting, I heard Dave Best laughing about if you're going to dump stuff, do it in Metamora. And I didn't think that was a funny joke at all. So I would like to hear more about that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So you're not supposed to interrupt me, sir, and I was there and I recorded it. Now, I keep hearing things about flock cameras. You guys passed flock cameras here with no discussion that was open to the public. We could not have known flock cameras were coming here and to purchase them and put them up without even any input from us. It was not possible. But the more I keep reading about flock cameras and what happens with them, it's a private company and they can be accessed in a whole bunch of different ways. That was not a good thing to do at all to us residents here paying. But my main question tonight is what are these two gentlemen down here at the end doing to ensure our safety during the upcoming Metamora Country Days and Hot Air Balloon Festival? Because as I have established for years now, huge problems safety-wise with that festival. I'm a resident of the village. There are 4 ways in and out of that village, and they get blocked up. The hydrants get blocked. Last year, the first aid station was here on Friday night. That was the main night down there. Saturday night had bad weather. The first aid station was here. It was nowhere near the event. There were no fire lanes set aside. There was no handicap parking set aside. There were fire hydrants that were blocked. This is, I keep hearing that the estimate is 10,000 people come to this little village with very little infrastructure. It is not designed to handle it. Again, I've recalled over and over and over again, we need a fire marshal here. That event should not be happening without a fire marshal. And Lapeers, I don't know anything about it, but Rochester's would sure know how to deal with a festival like that because they have art and apples. Thank you.
Hi, I am Chuck Philly. I'm talking to you about the Metamora Golf Course, Brower Road development. This is just a rough thing. I want to know what the status is of the zoning, whether it's A2, R1, whether it's a consent judgment, whether this is an expansion of the manors, whatever you guys are doing. There are additional issues that are not being addressed due to the board not recognizing the ordinances that they previously put in place 12 years ago. They have cleared trees, put in roads, covered the wetlands without any guidance from the board members. And if they had the board members, they haven't turned around and addressed and let us know what's going on. And the neighbors should know. And I know that I'm going to talk a little bit about fire permits because there's different fire permits if it's commercial clearing of land versus, you know, I'm just burning a couple bushes or something. The state of Michigan says if you're clearing land, you have to identify the trees, you got to identify what you're doing, or you have to replace the ones you're doing. There's a lot of rules and regulations. And this board here is just closing their eyes to what's going on and pretending that's not happening and are shoving it under the table and not disclosing it to the people that you represent. And I think it's a shame. Anybody else on the public side? Fire department business. Good evening.
I don't really have a lot tonight, but I'll start with our activity report. For July 2026, we had 34 calls for the month. We had 15 fires, 17 medicals, 2 PIs. We had 3 meetings, 3 trainings, and 3 work details. One of them calls we had was a barn fire down on Metamora Road. We got mutual aid and automatic aid from Hagley and Dryden. That's pretty much handled without incident. And really the only other thing that I have is we had, for the month of July, we had 55 hours of training. In different topics, driver's training, equipment apparatus, things like that. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Police department.
Good evening. For July 2026, we had 462 calls for service. Some highlights of those: 208 were traffic stops, 8 property damage accidents, 12 car gear accidents, which is going up that time of year, 7 personal injury accidents, 7 alarms, 6 domestic violence incidents, 5 warrant arrests, 1 OWI arrest, 29 business checks, and 50 57 subdivision checks. We had a light month for training, a lot of guys on vacation this month. OHSP grant, we had 40 hours of speed enforcement as well as 40 hours of impaired driving enforcement. I just want to thank the board and everybody for the support with our village. Got that passed for another 10 years and very appreciative of that. Other than that,
Okay, thanks. I don't know what this statement is.
It's the first statement for the millage rates. So we usually approve this in June, but we, waited till, to see if the millage would pass. But this is, the assessor gives us our millage rates, so that way in December, this is what, the taxes will be based on. So that is what's in front of you. So it's including the recent police millage that was passed last week.
So we gotta make a motion to approve, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the new L4029 statements for Metamora Township for 2026.
And they don't, it's not an increase, right?
No, actually, these are, rolled back, just the headly, the other, like the fire in the township, yes. Only increase is the police millage.
That
That
we're
was
not,
included.
right, and that's what we're waiting for to include that.
Correct.
So this number here is the inclusion.
Yes.
Okay, make sure it's clear.
Can I ask a question that doesn't deal with like what I was, I mean, a little bit of what I was talking about, just a general question?
Yeah.
I currently have a, loaner vehicle from GM because my vehicle is in the shop, having to get paint repair from the action stuff. But the GM loaner vehicle has also now been having damage to the paint from the action soot from the burning of what's going on at the property. GM wants to know who gets the bill, because I explained to them what's going on and I refuse to pay the bill for the paint job. And the whole, nothing's been approved, it's this person's responsibility, it's this person's responsibility, I'm just wondering who's going to pay the bill to GM.
you're gonna have to contact the attorney. It's gonna be a civil matter.
So did we vote on this one?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So I made a
we got
motion, to approve the new L4029.
I'll support.
We got a second.
Tracy's a second, I'm the first.
That gotta be a roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. Deputy supervisor.
So with the appointment of Tommy Weiss as the deputy supervisor, one thing we need to circle back on is the job classification compensation. So I'd like to make a motion to classify him as a part-time employee, part-time. And his compensation should fall in line with the current deputy clerk role as well, so we're consistently compensated. So that's my motion.
Who went to second system? The compensation. How much?
The deputy clerk and the deputy, treasurer are around $20 an hour. Deputy, treasurer is a little more, but she does the building department as well. So, what was your motion?
My motion is to approve the job classification as a part-time employee with compensation consistent with the other deputy roles.
Get a second for that?
I'll second that.
I say his role is, he just comes in maybe
So-
1 to 2 hours a week.
So it's clear, it's not 32 hours a week, like most of the roles, it's significantly less, it's a support function. So it could be 1 hour, it could be no hours, it could be 10 hours, it depends on the need. So it's a whole position, not a standard 32-hour position, so. But we have to define what it is and his compensation. So, did that answer
type tutoring. Yes, yeah.
We good with this one, and we voted on it?
And what was the rate?
All in favor? You want to define the rate?
Oh, no, you just, I'm sorry, you did.
It's just say 20.
She's the board comment.
Benscoter Chouinard.
Okay. We vote. You gotta vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. I don't have nothing.
I got something I want to share with the board. So, the other day I got a call from a resident regarding a letter he got in the mail from Frontier Communications, Verizon company now, merged with Verizon Wireless. And so you may have seen it. It's basically stating that there's going to be a process whereby if you currently have a traditional copper-based phone line, it is going to be transition to either a fiber optic cable interface or you go to wireless. So when I first heard this, I thought, okay, well, I live on Pratt Road. I went to fiber optic. My internet's fiber optic now. My phone line it's great. The speed is awesome. It's much better than Spectrum. I'm not advertising for them, but so this individual called me and we got into a conversation about it. I was sharing with him my experience. He said, well, that ain't gonna happen for me. I said, what do you mean? He says, we don't have a fiber optic line where I live. So basically what I have a choice of is no phone or wireless or a cell phone. So most of you guys, I think, like me, I got like one bar. So I rely heavily on I use the Wi-Fi interface for my cell phone calls. So this is going to be a big deal for a lot of people who live on a copper-based phone line system. So 911, all the services. So if you're a senior who doesn't have a phone, so the way I read this is that on September 14th they're going to start communicating to customers. So it is happening now because he got this letter, and it says they're going to make the transition by November 16th, subject to the FCC communication or the Federal Communication Commission approval. So it sounds like it's moving forward. So the struggle is, he's asking for my help. So other than reaching out to state representatives, which I have, he's going to reach out to federal representatives. I think those of you who are impacted, I would say engage. Make phone calls because it sounds like it's going to happen. And it could impact a lot of people, especially in the period. So I don't know if the county commissioners are engaged in trying to figure out the impacts to residents. But this guy was incredibly upset. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of it. And if you can do anything, I would suggest if you are impacted, I'm thinking the only thing we can reach out to, I reached out to our representative in Lansing, and he's going to get a hold of Lisa as well. So I don't have a solution for it, and this is more of a communication that you're aware of. So he was going to be here to talk about it, that's all I have.
Thanks for your information.
Yep.
It's going to cost us some
Anybody else?
Well, I was gonna mention the passing of Val Chambers, because he was, other than me, he was the only one left on the board from 30 years ago, or 25 years ago.
On the EMS board?
On the EMS.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
What's that?
That's one of his
I see, he mentioned you in his minutes.
situation, but